The other night I was at a house party when disaster struck. We had run out of beer. I was seemingly the soberest out of my group of friends, who had all devolved into shirtless maniacs doing their best WWE impressions as they jumped off of tables into one another, and decided I was going to be the one to go on the holy crusade that is the beer run. We're all in our early 20s, and the 224 packs of beer we had bought just a few hours earlier had all been thrown up or pissed out. Did we need more beer? No. Did we want it? Hell yes. I was still a little wobbly and knew that driving was out of the question. Although I probably could have managed it, even my drunk brain knew was a bad idea. My friend's house was in a quiet forested area just outside of the town where I lived, and the only way back was the road, or a shortcut by trail. The road was the safer option, as there were fewer chances I would run into a bear or something, but the night was dragging on and the liquor store would close soon if I didn't hurry up. I knew taking the trail would shave off a good 20 minutes, so I grabbed a flashlight and my jacket, then headed out the door and down the old dirt trail. The pleasant warm breeze that had accompanied me as I left the house vanished, and the temperature dropped a few degrees as I strolled down the path. It was like stepping out of summer and into fall in real time, and I was glad to have my jacket wrapped around me tightly, like a reassuring hug. The gigantic trees loomed into each other at the tops, creating a canopy of darkness over the path, with only a pinpoint of light I could see far down at the other side. That was the town. I could feel my buzz wearing off as I walked, and emotions like fear began creeping back into my consciousness. It was almost pitch black now, and I flipped on my flashlight as I began thinking about bears or whatever else I could bump into out here. Then, at the exact same time, I saw another flashlight flicker to life somewhere down the trail. It was kind of weird, because there were all the reasons to head into town but heading out this way. There were only a couple other houses by my friends that seemed to be inhabited by retirees with lawn ornament obsessions, and I doubted they had the youthful energy to be doing a beer run themselves. Nevertheless, I continued walking, with only the sounds of my footsteps and blood in my ears to keep me company with my new acquaintance. I could make out a silhouette of the stranger now. He appeared to be my height, but my flashlight wasn't the strongest and there wasn't much for the weak beam of light to bounce off of in the darkness. Me and the stranger probably had 30 or so feet between us now, and we were both walking in the middle of the path. I stepped to the right to make room for the man, and he stepped right too. I could feel my heart rate picking up as we got closer and closer. I stepped to the left, and the stranger did too. Closer and closer, I stepped right again, and the man mimicked me without pause. Then I stopped. There was maybe 12 feet between us now. I took a step back, and so did the man. I shined my flashlight at his feet. He, however, didn't copy me. I noticed we were wearing the same Adidas sneakers. I started to slowly raise my flashlight, and realized we were wearing the exact same outfit. But he was filthy, like he had been buried for a few days, then dug up. With a shaking hand, I slowly raised the flashlight to his face and kind of blanked out. I had never felt fear so cold and blunt. It was like somebody had run a bath filled with every nightmare I had ever had in my life, then held my head under the water. I was staring back at myself, my face. Even the little scar on my chin I had gotten from falling into my parents' coffee table as a kid was there. But this wasn't me. It couldn't be me. There were thin purple veins all over his face, pulsating in waves like tiny troops of ants were making their rounds under his skin. His grinning mouth was just a little too big and held just a few teeth too many, like there was another set hiding behind the original like a shark's. But the worst part were his eyes, or maybe lack of. There were cold, Vanta-black tar pits where my own light blue irises should have been. I was lost for a moment just staring into those lifeless voids when I heard a click, and my flashlight shut off. His was still on. I could still see his feet firmly on the ground, waiting like we were in a game of chess and it was my move. Slowly, he started to turn the flashlight up towards his chin like one does when telling a story around a campfire, and clicked it off. Silence filled the air. I very slowly began to turn around when the fucking thing shrieked, and I heard it lunging towards me. I screamed too and began to sprint as fast as I could down the trail back towards my friend's house in the dark. At one point, I tripped and twisted my ankle pretty bad, but I caught myself mid-fall and the adrenaline masked the pain just enough to keep going. I didn't stop running, nor did I look back until I got inside my friend's house. I was in hysterics and crying. My friends turned the music off and gathered around to ask me what had happened. However, their concern quickly turned into laughter and ridicule when I told them what I saw in the woods. "Who shared the joint with this guy earlier? He clearly can't handle his weed," one of my friends said as the room erupted into a fit of laughter. They all thought I was kidding or crazy. But I know what I saw. I don't know what it was, but I know what happened was real. I'm losing sleep over this, and last night I woke up and could feel something nagging at me to look out my apartment window. And when I did, I could have sworn I saw myself at a bus stop a couple blocks away, staring back. Back at my apartment, the events of the night kept replaying in my mind. I tried to distract myself with some late-night TV, but nothing could take my thoughts away from the doppelganger I had encountered. My friends had laughed it off, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me back from that trail. I woke up the next morning with a throbbing headache and a deep sense of unease. The memory of my own distorted face, those black voids for eyes, and that sinister grin haunted me. I decided to take a day off work, needing some time to gather my thoughts and figure out what to do next. I spent the morning pacing around my small apartment, glancing nervously out the window every few minutes. The street outside looked as mundane as ever, people going about their daily routines, completely unaware of the horror lurking in my mind. I couldn't stay cooped up all day, so I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. The town was bustling with activity, and I found some solace in the noise and movement around me. As I walked past the local coffee shop, I felt a strange compulsion to look inside. There, sitting by the window, was a figure that made my heart skip a beat. It was me, or at least, it looked like me. The same clothes, the same hairstyle, but there was something off. The way he held his coffee cup, the way he stared blankly ahead, it sent a shiver down my spine. I turned away quickly, not wanting to draw attention. My heart pounded as I hurried down the street, my mind racing with questions. What was happening? Was I losing my mind? Or was there really something supernatural at play? I spent the rest of the day in a state of paranoid alertness, jumping at every shadow and glancing over my shoulder constantly. By evening, I was exhausted, but the fear kept me awake. I decided to call my best friend, Mike, hoping he might have some rational explanation for what I was experiencing. "Hey man, what's up?" Mike's voice was cheerful, a stark contrast to my own anxiety. "Mike, I need to talk to you about something. Something weird happened last night," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, we all heard about your spooky woods story. You sure you didn't just have a bad trip?" He chuckled. "I'm serious, Mike. I saw something. Someone who looked exactly like me. And I think it followed me back. I saw it again today, at the coffee shop." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Okay, calm down. Maybe it was just someone who looked like you. You know, doppelgangers are a thing, right? This was more than just a look-alike, Mike. It felt wrong, like it wasn't human." Mike sighed. "All right, let's say for a second you're not just losing your mind. What do you want to do about it?" "I don't know. That's why I called you. I need help. I can't deal with this alone." "All right, I'll come over. We can figure this out together." Mike arrived at my apartment later that evening, armed with a six-pack of beer and a determined expression. "If we're going to deal with this, we might as well be well-equipped," he said, handing me a bottle. We sat down and I recounted the events of the previous night in detail, from the trail to the encounter with my doppelganger. Mike listened intently, occasionally nodding but mostly just letting me get everything out. "Okay, so let's assume this thing is real," Mike said once I had finished. "What do we know about doppelgangers? Maybe there's some folklore or urban legends that can give us a clue." We spent the next few hours diving into the depths of the internet, reading about doppelgangers, shadow people, and other supernatural entities. Most of the information was vague and contradictory, but a few common threads began to emerge. Doppelgangers were often seen as omens of death or bad luck, and encounters with them were usually unsettling or dangerous. Great. So basically, we're screwed, I muttered, rubbing my temples. Not necessarily, Mike said. There are also stories about people confronting their doppelgangers and surviving. Maybe we need to face it head on. Face it? Are you insane? Did you not hear what I said about the thing shrieking and lunging at me? I know it sounds crazy, but what if running away only makes it stronger? Maybe we need to confront it and find out what it wants. I sighed, feeling the weight of the situation bearing down on me. All right, fine. But how do we even find it? I can't just wait around for it to show up again. We'll start with the trail, Mike suggested. Maybe there's something there that can give us a clue about what this thing is and why it's after you. The next evening, armed with flashlights, jackets, and a mixture of fear and determination, Mike and I headed back to the trail. The woods were eerily silent, the trees casting long shadows in the fading light. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig made my heart race. But I pushed forward, determined to face whatever awaited us. We reached the spot where I had encountered the doppelganger and paused. "This is it," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "This is where I saw it." Mike scanned the area with his flashlight. "Do you see anything? Any signs that something happened here?" I shook my head, feeling a mixture of relief and disappointment. "No, nothing. It's like it never happened." "Let's keep looking," Mike said. "Maybe there's something further down the trail." We continued walking, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air grew colder, and I felt a sense of unease growing stronger with each step. Suddenly, Mike stopped and pointed ahead. "Look, there's something on the ground." I followed his gaze and saw a small, crumpled piece of paper lying in the dirt. I picked it up and unfolded it, revealing a hastily scrawled message. "I see you." My blood ran cold. "What the hell is this?" I whispered, showing the note to Mike. "It looks like a warning," he said, his voice tense. "Or maybe a taunt. Whatever this thing is, it knows we're here." I crumpled the note in my hand, feeling a surge of anger. "I'm tired of being scared, Mike. We need to end this." "Agreed. Let's keep moving. We need to find this thing and confront it." As we pressed on, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, the air heavier. Every step felt like a descent into madness. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that eyes were following our every move. Finally, we reached a small clearing, and there, standing in the center, was the doppelganger. Its flashlight was off, but its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, fixed on us with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "This is it," Mike whispered. "Are you ready?" I nodded, my heart pounding. "Let's end this." The doppelganger stood still as we approached, its grin widening as if it were pleased to see us. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I forced myself to keep moving. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "What do you want from me?" The doppelganger tilted its head, mimicking my movements. "I am you," it said in a voice that was a distorted echo of my own. "I want what you have, your life." My breath caught in my throat. "Why? Why are you doing this?" "Because I can," it replied, its grin widening even further. "Because you are weak and I am strong. Because your fear gives me power." I glanced at Mike, who gave me a nod of encouragement. "We won't let you take my life," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "We will fight you." The doppelganger laughed, a sound that was both human and inhuman. "You can try, but you will fail." With that, it lunged at us, moving with unnatural speed. Mike and I dodged to the side,
barely avoiding its grasp. I swung my flashlight at its head, but it passed through the doppelganger as if it were made of smoke. "This isn't working," I shouted. "We need to find another way to stop it." "Look for something that can disrupt its form," Mike yelled back. "Maybe there's something here that can weaken it." As we searched the clearing, the doppelganger continued to attack, its movements fluid and relentless. Every time it came close, I felt a wave of fear and dread wash over me, sapping my strength.
Then I spotted something glinting in the moonlight. A small, jagged stone lying on the ground. I grabbed it and threw it at the doppelganger, hoping against hope that it would have some effect. The stone struck the doppelganger's chest, and to my surprise it recoiled, a hiss of pain escaping its lips. "It worked," I shouted. "We can hurt it." Mike quickly picked up another stone and threw it, hitting the doppelganger in the shoulder. It staggered back, its form flickering like a glitch in a video game. "We need to keep hitting it," Mike said, his voice filled with determination. "Don't let up." We continued to pelt the doppelganger with stones, each hit weakening it further. Its movements became slower, its form more unstable. Finally, with one last throw, the doppelganger let out a shriek and dissolved into a cloud of black smoke, which dissipated into the night air. I collapsed to the ground, my body trembling with exhaustion and relief. Is it over?" I asked, barely able to speak. Mike knelt beside me, putting a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "I think so. You did it. We did it." The days following our encounter with the doppelganger were a blur of exhaustion and disbelief. Mike and I both took some time off work, needing to recover from the physical and emotional toll of the ordeal. We spent our days talking, trying to make sense of what had happened and what it meant for the future. I couldn't shake the feeling that, although we had defeated the doppelganger, the experience had changed me in ways I couldn't yet understand. The memory of facing my own distorted reflection, of seeing the darkness within myself, haunted me. I knew that I would never be the same. Mike, ever the optimist, tried to find a silver lining. "Maybe this was a wake-up call," he said one evening as we sat on my balcony, watching the sunset. "A reminder that we need to confront our fears, not run from them." "Maybe," I replied, though I wasn't entirely convinced. "But what if it comes back? What if there are more of them out there?" "We'll deal with it if it happens," Mike said, his tone resolute. "We've faced it once and we can do it again." As the days turned into weeks, life slowly began to return to normal. The fear that had gripped me started to fade, replaced by a cautious sense of hope. I knew that I could never completely forget what had happened, but I also knew that I couldn't let it control my life. One night, as I lay in bed, I felt a strange sense of peace wash over me. I had faced my darkest fears and come out stronger on the other side. Whatever the future held, I knew that I could face it with courage and resilience. The memory of the doppelganger would always be with me, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. But I also knew that I had the strength to confront that darkness, to shine a light on it, and banish it back to where it came from. And as I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep, I felt a newfound sense of determination. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them head-on, armed with the knowledge that I had the power to overcome even the most terrifying of foes. The experience with the doppelganger had left a lasting mark on me, but it had also taught me valuable lessons about courage, resilience, and the importance of facing one's fears. I had come to understand that the darkness within us is something we all must confront at some point in our lives, and that doing so can lead to growth and self-discovery. Months later, as I walked through the town, I no longer felt the lingering fear that had once gripped me. I had faced my own reflection in the most literal and terrifying way possible, and I had emerged stronger for it. The doppelganger was gone, but the lessons it had taught me remained. I continued to see Mike regularly, our friendship stronger than ever after the ordeal we had shared. We often talked about that night, about the fear and the triumph, and about how it had changed us both. It was a bond that would forever tie us together, a shared experience that had tested our limits and shown us the strength we possessed. As I moved forward with my life, I carried the memory of the doppelganger as a reminder of the power of facing one's fears. The darkness that had once threatened to consume me had been vanquished, and in its place I had found a sense of peace and determination. And so, with each new day, I faced the world with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that no matter what challenges came my way, I had the strength to overcome them. The doppelganger was a part of my past, but it had also become a part of who I was, a testament to the power of confronting and overcoming one's deepest fears.